me? Black. Some of y'all did that as children with y'all colors. Try to color everything. You know what you got? A black piece of with some other kind of colors that you got. But once you put the black crayon, that's a wrap anyway. Black absorbs. It is the sum of everything, not the absence of anything. You don't wear black when you're mourning. In fact, among you wear white when you're mourning. Because white becomes the absence. It's amazing, isn't it? How it becomes inverted in a race-based society. So that's one category. In fact, that's the only category. This other one we're talking about, this is the distraction. So he said, where do black people start? One way of thinking about that is not the way we've been talking about, but now the second way, which is what? When do the circumstances come into existence that created this thing? Keep talking about black people. Well, when did y'all start? Meaning what? Black as I know it. Meaning what? Struggle and slavery and trying to get forward. In other words, you're not asking when black people start. What are you really asking? When did the struggle start? When did the history start? When did this circumstance start? That's really what you're asking. So when we ask, when did capitalism start, you can't ask an idea only as an abstract. That's the important first question to ask, because it is the concept we're grappling with. But Robinson says, no, European civilization is not the product of capitalism. In other words, capitalism didn't exist in the air and then people came to it. People came to responding to their circumstances, and then many years later we give it a name and then look for its origins. You see? The origins of democracy lie with the Greeks. No, the origins of the Greeks lie with the Greeks. What you call democracy is a response to circumstances that are different at any given historical moment. We're looking for traces and echoes and rhythms. Yes, ma'am.
So what you're saying is that capitalism, it was created and it wasn't... Okay. Capitalism as a concept is the sum of various attempts to manage human affairs that we then give this broad name. Yes, so it was created, but the it is a constellation of things. So that, you know how to say Western style democracy or Western style capitalism? It'd be very different. Let's think about it. Let's go, that's exactly right. But the it gets complex. It's a very good way of characterizing it. The effects of Western civilization on capitalism. The development of capitalism, we're at the bottom of page 24 now, Black Marxism. The development of capitalism can thus be seen as having been determined, informed by the social and ideological composition of a civilization that had assumed its fundamental perspectives during what? Feudalism. So to look for, this is how y'all probably learned in elementary school. But what Robinson is going to do is take the playbook most of us got at some point through high school and take it apart moment by moment and look at each moment and see what does this really mean. So he says what we're calling capitalism came out of a group of people generally who were planning the next phase based on their previous phase, and that previous experience was feudalism. The patterns of recruitment for slave and mercenary we have reviewed. In other words, what he's done in the previous pages. And basically what he's saying is that feudalism required what? What was feudalism? Somebody define it for us. Working definition. Yes, sir.
Power structure and labor. Really
yes.
Really based mostly on property. And it's kind of like a better version of share property in a way.
Yes. Ownership. What do they own? Land. Anybody who was on that land who was not an owner was a tenant. Still got the words, don't we? The landlord and the tenant. Landlord sets the rules. How many of y'all rent apartments? Right. Including those of you on campus. You renting from a university. They're the landlord. Something goes wrong in your apartment, who's supposed to fix it? What if the landlord don't fix it? What are your options? You have to fix it or move. You got a contract with the landlord though. Can you make the landlord enforce the contract? Theoretically. Some of y'all maybe have. Many of y'all haven't had any much luck with that. However, if you violate the terms, you don't owe nothing. Let's say you don't violate the terms and they sell the building in a condo. You didn't read the fine print of your lease. What do you mean I gotta go? Oh damn, let's say if you sell it to the condo and if you go condo, I got like 2 weeks. I
need a lawyer, I need a lawyer. How many times have you seen young people in particular scream bloody murder when somebody sells them out on a contract, and then they look at the contract and realize they're screwed? Or, conversely, they didn't read the contract and they do have rights that the court would protect, except somebody tried to bully them by pretending like they don't have those rights. This is how some landlords work. And ultimately, you're talking about owners and tenants. Now, let's say that you don't pay rent. Let's say some people don't. In fact, some of y'all don't pay rent to the landlord called Howard University. How do you earn your space in the dorm? You're RA, right? You work. In other words, you're serf. Your job is to manage the other tenants. This is feudalism in some ways, not really, but it's close enough to get us to feudalism. Feudalism is this, except the owner has a farm. It's sharecropping. It's feudalism. In fact, that's why Du Bois in Black Reconstruction in America would refer to black people in slavery after the end of slavery as feudalism. That's what it was. In other words, you had a situation, according to Du Bois, he's absolutely correct, that after enslavement, this country practiced feudalism. At the same time that it engaged in the Industrial Revolution. But who were the serfs in feudalism in the United States? Us. And when were we serfs? The 1865, 1870s, 1880s, until Negroes moved in the migrations. You're in Mississippi, you're picking cotton, you're always in debt, but you're still there, you're a serf. They take their cotton, they ship it somewhere, and they make shirts out of it and build industry. They got other serfs locked in the sweatshops in New York making shirts. And then they sell those shirts, and the city gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And before you know it, this Industrial Revolution has been fueled on the backs of serfs. So you see how capitalism becomes a complex idea. But now we look back and say, America is a capitalist country and it's developed overall. It's more complex than that. At times it was a feudal country. So what Robinson is saying is, keep the definitions in your head of these terms, but also, more importantly, learn the historical circumstances, because those terms don't neatly fit all the time. Right with me so far? We clear? Let's keep going. The patterns of recruitment for slave, and now we're at the top of page 25, mercenary, we have reviewed, held true for bourgeoisies and proletarians. What the hell does that mean? Let's keep going. According to Robert Lopez, in the Carolingian Empire, long-distance trade was dominated by Jews and Italians. Carolingian Empire. Who is that? Huh? Somebody said it? Somebody else do European history? Caroline is the root of it. Who's Caroline? Yeah.
Not sure I know the date.
That's all right.
791 to 987.
Where you at? No, that's all right because you got your notes right. It's before. Right. You're talking about early feudal Western Europe. Those names become important because they become the mnemonic devices, the markers for the places we have now. There's no North Carolina or South Carolina without the Carolingians. It's amazing the names we still have in our mouths that trace to the history of the development of the West. I mean, ruin me for I won't wear jerseys with half stuff on. You know, I ain't wearing no Duke Blue Devil stuff, but no North Carolina stuff either. Tar Heels. The hell is a Tar Heel? It's the working class, the labor, the slave labor of North Carolina. You know? It's like a Virginia Tech Hokie. What's a Hokie? What's a Tennessee Volunteer? You can take the name, you either got the Aboriginals that you killed, of course they Seminoles, or the white people you oppressed, the Hokies, the Tar Heels, the Volunteers, and then you stick your name on them and go out and make money, don't you? It's almost as bad as taking the name of an animal that the dude shot mercilessly on his way while he was chasing Native Americans. Now we're the Howard Bison. Oh well. You should change the name. Howard Buffalo Soldiers. Just be done with it. Buffalo Soldiers. That's what I'm talking about. Now that's the name you can win some games behind. In the football game, instead of playing the blues, everybody just said, "It was up, Buffalo." The first black college with a name everybody rep. Man, we sell so many jerseys about capitalism. Come on. Little children. Howard Buffalo Soldiers. Oh, dreadlock rock. I ain't mad at the Bison, but understand, General Howard shot a lot of Bison while he was chasing Chief Seattle.